The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. I know we're usually talking about kids' cartoons and stuff, but there's going to be naughty language. Anyway, listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. My name is JD, and with me, as always, is my good friend Kyle.
It's me.
Hooray! And we're here to talk about one of my favorite shows of all time. I do love this show. And we're going to be talking about The Spectacular Spider-Man, which you may remember back from the late 2000s, aired on Kids WB, and kind of just doing this since the new Spider-Man Far From Home came out last week, which I did go see and I did enjoy. I think I might like Far From Home better than Homecoming, so it was a well done movie. It made me laugh.
I didn't watch any of them because
Kyle doesn't like the MCU movies.
I don't watch movies ever.
Unless I tell you to.
Unless we review them.
Right. So... But, yeah, so we're, in honor of Far From Home, we are going to be talking about Spectacular Spider-Man, which I dare say is, I feel, is the best piece of Spider-Man media, or at least TV show-wise. 90s Spider-Man fans, come at me.
Look, there's not a lot of Spider-Man cartoons, but I would agree this is probably the best one.
I mean, there's like the old ones in the 60s, and then there's the 90s one. You had the fucking Spider-Man Unlimited. You had that weird CG one that was on MTV that had Neil Patrick Harris in it.
You had the 90s one where they couldn't throw a punch, so they were always rolling around on the ground. Mary Jane was built like a linebacker.
Yeah, kinda.
What an awful show.
I honestly, I didn't watch it as a kid, so...
we watched it all the time. That was like the epitome of Saturday morning cartoons. Tune in next time.
Yeah, and it was like in the same continuity as the X-Men TV show.
I think so. They had a bunch of
Yeah, because I think Spider-Man crossed over... What?
So they had a bunch of guest stars, like Blade and all these characters.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man was a sadly short-lived Spider-Man incarnation back starting back in 2008. It was kind of strange, its history, because it started on Kids WB, and then got moved over to Disney XD for its second season. And I may have talked about this back when we reviewed Avengers a couple months ago, I guess now. That it was kind of sad that the show got the axe, because apparently, if I have my story straight, Disney had gotten back the television rights to Spider-Man, because obviously Sony still has the film rights. So Disney wanted to make their own Spider-Man show, but because Spectacular Spider-Man was made by Sony, they couldn't keep making that show, so they had to cancel this Spider-Man show to make the next Spider-Man show, Ultimate Spider-Man, which had Drake Bell in it, and I didn't much care for.
You didn't like the anime bullshit?
No.
Of course not.
Right. So this incarnation of Spider-Man was headed up after I was doing some research. It has some really kind of interesting showrunners here, because you've got Greg Weisman, who, if you watch Young Justice, you may recognize that name because he's one of the producers for that show. And it's also saying he was a producer on Gargoyles back in the day, which I did not know that.
That's interesting.
I think he may have created that. I'm not sure. But that's cool. And then you got Victor Cook, who I guess went on to work on Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, which I also think is the best Scooby-Doo show. So that was a cool show. We should talk about that someday.
Give me a reason to fucking watch it.
I think it's a good show. I like that it kind of took the Scooby-Doo stuff in like a different kind of direction. So yeah, you had a lot of really good talent running this show. I think what really drew me to this show back in the day is I thought the art style for it was just really different, and the character designer for this is Sean Galloway. You may know him as Cheeks online. And I think this is the show that actually kind of introduced me to his art. I may have seen it on DeviantArt before. I'm not entirely sure, but this show made me go seek him out. And I really like Sean's art. And Kyle was nice enough to send me an original sketch of Sean's. He drew a Spider-Man head and is mounted on my wall right now.
Hell yeah. He was a pretty cool goo. He does conventions all the time. WonderCon, all this stuff, and it's kind of sad because I never really see people around him, but I know it's one of those shitty things about being an artist, is when you're doing Spider-Man and stuff like this, a lot of people like you and all this stuff, but when you're doing your own thing, people don't really care about it. And usually when he's at a convention, he's got his own stuff going on. He's got his own books. Right. He's got his own... Yeah. And it's always sad to see not too many people around him.
Yeah, it's unfortunate the way things go. People want stuff they instantly recognize and kind of balk at original content. Yeah, I follow him on social media and I see his... he has like a bunch of different... ideas out there, and I wish I could find like a concrete way to actually like read these things, but I think like I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Well, buy his fucking book.
Yeah, that's what I need to do.
I don't know too much about him. I just know he's got like a Oni character. He's got a statue of that Oni character. Looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got like a concept about like pirates, and then he has like another one about like a high school. It's a group of high schoolers. I forget exactly what they do, but he's got a really cool art style. I dig it. It's very unique, especially when applied to the Spider-Man universe, because he had to redesign like pretty much all of the. Had to redesign Spider-Man. Had to redesign like all the villains and stuff like that. And I think just like a lot of his takes on the characters are really interesting.
Let's say most of them are pretty great.
Most of them. I'm sure there's one or two out there that maybe didn't fit as well, but, law of averages and all that. Another thing that, like, and it really sticks to me to this day, I really like Josh Keaton as Spider-Man. I think he really got into this role, and I think he really enjoyed it, and I'm pretty sure I've read things where he still ranks this as like one of his favorite roles he's done.
What else has he done?
I'm trying to think of what else Josh Keaton's done. I know, interesting tidbit. He's in Disney's Hercules. He's the voice of young Hercules, and it was. they apparently he had recorded or was going to be doing the song that he sings in the beginning of the movie, but Disney wanted a more I don't know, they wanted a different singer, so they redubbed over him.
Yikes.
So, and it's like Josh Keaton can sing, so it's strange that they did that. But I don't know the whole deal with that. Let's see, what else has Josh Keaton done? He was in Spider-Man. He was one of the main humans on Transformers Prime, which I really like that show. He's done a lot of different things. What I do think is funny, kind of tie it, since one of the producers went on to do Young Justice, it was funny because there's a character on Young Justice called Black Spider, it's essentially DC's Spider-Man.
I forgot
and they got
about
Josh
that.
Keaton back. Yeah, they got Josh Keaton back to play that character. So I thought that was kind of a funny nod. And they even get him back to voice Spider-Man a lot. Like, they got him to be Spider-Man in the Shattered Dimensions game. He was Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure he was Spider-Man in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think they replaced him with Drake Bell in Ultimate for whatever reason. And I'm not exactly sure. I think I might have heard him, like I was watching trailers for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and I think I heard him as Spider-Man, but I'm not exactly sure about that.
Drake Bell needs
there's
the
a lot
money,
of talent.
man.
Yeah, man, he's a working actor.
Well, no, he's like
so
hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
is he?
Yeah.
Where are you reading this?
You didn't know that? That's like a big deal. That's why he was doing... I don't fucking know, but that's why he was doing shit like Fairly Odd Parents and stuff.
Who was?
Drake Bell.
Oh, Drake Bell.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Josh Keaton. It was like, I didn't realize Josh Keaton was horribly in debt. That's sad.
No, just, yeah.
Well, those child actors.
After Josh left, his life went to hell.
Oh, no.
Miranda Cosgrove. Wasn't a good time for him.
Poor Drake Bell. I don't even know what he does anymore.
Let's get him on the show. Let's get him on the horn right now.
Ask him what happened.
Ask him why he's in such crazy debt.
Right. So yeah, this is a really... I really like this interpretation of Spider-Man, at least in like the TV aspect, because this one sets Peter Parker in high school. I think he's like a sophomore when the show starts, and it really kind of shows the struggle of him trying to be Spider-Man, but like having to be home on time and like trying to have relationships and with possible girlfriends and his regular friends, and it really shows like how frustrated he gets trying to juggle those two.
He's gotta save the world before bedtime.
Kinda. So yeah, I was rewatching the first couple episodes the other day, and they like just kind of get right into that up the front because you don't have to watch Uncle Ben die. He's already dead when the show starts. Sorry.
Everybody loves seeing relatives die multiple times in every incarnation.
Yeah. But like he's having to call Aunt May because she puts a curfew on him and he's always late for that. Working at the lab of the guy who would turn into the lizard. And all that. One thing I'll give this show a lot of credit for a lot of things. One thing I want to give this show credit for is I really liked how a lot of the villains show up for the first couple episodes, like as recurring characters before they actually become their supervillain personas.
Doesn't Electro, isn't he like just some random repairman or some shit?
Yeah, he's like a repairman helping out Dr. Connors, who turns into the Lizard eventually. And yes, through some freak accident, he becomes Electro. And I really like that episode because it shows that like Electro isn't inherently evil. He just got a raw deal, and people keep fucking with him.
Yeah.
So he just wants to be left alone. He wants to go home, and the cops roll up on him, and it's like, you need to either go to the hospital or you're going to jail. And he's like, bro, just fuck off. So like I kind of feel for the guy. So but like in the first
you're saying if you got electric powers, you would not go to the hospital?
I don't know, man.
You would fuck with the cops, JD? Is that what you're saying? Fuck 12?
Yeah, like in the first episode here, it shows the two guys that become Sandman and Rhino, but they're just the like normal crooks. And you see them a couple times before they actually get turned into their supervillain personas. And you get to see Doc Ock before he makes his arms, working for Norman Osborn, just like, and he's like this little snivelly little scientist guy. So you get to see him. I like that they built up the relationship with the guy who turns into the Lizard. You get to see him like doing experiments on himself in little cutaways that shows that like, he's doing these things that's going to get him turned into the Lizard in a couple episodes. So I like there was a build up to that.
The interesting thing about this show was they introduced characters that don't really get much screen time. So they showed like Hammerhead. Hammerhead's kind of one of the old, almost newspaper cartoon characters.
Mm-hmm.
He's almost like a Dick Tracy type of character.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then is it Black Skull or something?
Oh, Tombstone.
Is it Tombstone?
It's Black Mask is Batman.
'Cause I'm like, just remember it looked exactly the same almost. It's fucking stupid, but yeah. Those characters don't really get too much screen time, but they're also they're not super villains, they're just kind of gangsters, thugs.
Yeah, there's a few characters in here that like I had never heard of until this show, but obviously they're old comic people, so like you said, there's Tombstone and Hammerhead, who I'd never heard of before this. And then in the second season they introduce Silvermane and Silver Sable, which maybe they appeared in like the 90s Spider-Man show and are frequent comic people, but I've never heard of them before. So it was kind of nice that like an addition to the main Spider-Man Rogues Gallery, you're getting some of these like lesser known guys in there too.
Silver Sable's kind of a weird character. She's pretty popular around the 90s time, but I always thought her and Black Cat are pretty much the same character, essentially.
Yeah. Fucking Black Cat. Like, I need to know if, like, I need to know if, like, if Catwoman or Black Cat was first.
If I remember correctly, I think Black Cat was the first one. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff where it's like Green Arrow and Hawkeye and different characters like that where...
Right, yeah. So yeah, you get a lot of different characters in here. I mean, I like that there's an episode towards the end of the first season where you're getting characters like you get to see Mysterio and Tinkerer as like normal people before they like turn like supervillain in the second season. I like that they don't even. It takes them halfway through the first season to even introduce Mary Jane. Because
well, in this one it was more Gwen, wasn't it?
Yeah, they really pushed Gwen Stacy in this one because and it was interesting because like in the comics or anything, like Gwen Stacy is like this, like supermodel kind of a girl, but in this one they like really dorked her out, like heavy glasses, kind of messy hair, has a hoodie on the whole time. It's basically like Peter's nerd friend.
It sounds like JD's type.
Yeah, right.
Anyways, to answer your question, yes. Black Cat came out 39 years before Catwoman.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh wait, no.
How does that work?
It was the other way around. Sorry.
I was about to say, like, because Catwoman was in the 60s Batman thing, and Spider-Man wasn't made until, like, the 70s.
Sorry, Catwoman was made in the 40s. Black Cat came around 79. Read it wrong, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I can admit I'm wrong.
Right. So, yeah, you get all these different characters. I like that you see, Peter, like, because it shows in, like, the first episode that, like, because Uncle Ben isn't around anymore, Aunt May is having money troubles, so Peter's, like, trying to find all these ways to, like, make money, because he gets, like, this internship at Dr. Connor's lab, and he's like, oh, how much does this pay? And, like, oh, yeah, by the way, Eddie Brock is, like, his best friend, not, like, a rival asshole photographer or whatever Topher Grace was doing in Spider-Man 3.
I absolutely love his design in this.
Yeah, he's got... It's strange because he's like a lab assistant, but he looks like a fucking biker. Because he's like rocking a leather jacket and then has like the spiky blonde hair.
I like the size of him. He's like this pretty big.
Yeah, he's like
dude.
a fucking linebacker, man.
Yeah. He's blonde. I don't know. I just love everything about his design in this show.
Yeah, I like it. So yeah, like, and Eddie Brockham's like, you're not getting paid for this internship. You're a high schooler. So then like that kind of leads into Peter like, oh hey, I can get Jameson pictures of Spider-Man, which I love how they kind of took. They're really basing the Jameson in this show off of J.K. Simmons's in the Raimi Spider-Man movies. That was kind of a nice carryover, at least like thematically.
I do gotta say the Raimi movies really ruined the whole Green Goblin bullshit for me.
Yeah.
I absolutely do not like that character, thanks to the Raimi movies. And they kind of do that.
Yeah.
They do it in this show where they got the son playing as a Green Goblin and all that kind of stuff.
Well, see, that was what was kind of interesting, is that Green Goblin shows up about halfway through the first season, and it's a big mystery of like who he is. He's just this crazy guy, and so then after a while, you find out that like, oh, Harry might have been the Green Goblin because he's like basically taking some weird form of like steroids or whatever, and it's supposed to like apparently makes him go crazy. But one of like the big big kind of throws you for a loop at the end of the series, the end of the series. It shows that Norman Osborn was the Green Goblin the whole time, but almost got found out and switched Harry in to throw people off his trail. So he like got Harry. Harry basically disappears for half a season to go to rehab.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so it's like, wow, this dad is a super asshole because he basically threw his kid under the bus.
I mean, wouldn't you?
I mean, I don't have a kid, so I can't really speak to that.
No, I'm sorry.
I mean, they cram a lot of stuff into the first season. I mean, they do a few episodes that actually they kind of they've got the Sinister Six para team up, which also kind of coincides with Peter getting the symbiote suit, which culminates into Eddie Brock turning into Venom at the end of the season.
Which was,
and I think the whole thing with that was kind of interesting because it's like Eddie is basically, because I honestly I don't know too much about Venom, but basically like the whole like Venom wants to get with Eddie Brock because Eddie Brock's all pissed off at Peter because like obviously he's always late, he's shirking his responsibilities and really kind of fucking other people over, so Eddie's kind of like pissed off at him, so the Venom's the symbiote suit kind of latches
like
onto
an
him.
Ex-girlfriend that wants to get back at Peter Parker. Best way to think about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So he teams up with...
He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go date your best friend now.
Yeah, he teams up with someone that's just about as angry as it is to him. They start dating.
Yeah.
But I really like the Venom design in this show too. He's very Killer Wellish. It was like one of the first toys I bought. It's such a cool design.
What's Killer Wellish?
Well, just the Venom design. It looks like a killer whale almost.
Oh, a killer whale.
Jesus, yes.
Gosh, sorry. I thought you like there was an artist named Killer Wells.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
I don't know. You fucking follow so many weird artists. I can't keep up with them all.
No, he just looked like a killer whale. Come on. It's black and white. But I do remember they had like a giant fight on Thanksgiving. That was like a big thing in this show.
Yeah.
They're fighting on floats and stuff.
Yeah, I do remember that. But yeah, it's yeah, you get to see Peter like kind of dealing with his struggles in life, but like things start kind of turning up after he like gets rid of the symbiote suit. Cause he like starts dating one of the hot cheerleader girls for a bit, and that's an interesting turn of events. Cause it's funny because like in the first episode, like all like Flash Thompson and all his gang are just like shitting on Peter for being a huge dork and stuff, and he ends up dating one of them.
Yeah.
By the end, so.
And then.
Yeah, sorry.
And then Craven comes out, and he turns into a cat monster. He's so gross.
He does turn into a cat monster after a while.
Yeah, that was probably one of the big disappointments of this show, I would say.
Yeah. I can't remember why that happened exactly.
something Green Goblin Lab. I don't know.
Sure.
It makes sense. I just made it up right now, and I fucking believe it.
Yeah. This show kind of like ends on a cliffhanger a little bit, and kind of like, I don't know. I there's so many shows like that where it got canceled for some reason, and they're building up to something, and then you just never get any kind of resolution for that.
That's what I would do. Piss off nerds like you.
But like, it doesn't piss me off. It just makes me sad because I really like this show and would like to see it go on. Because like at the end of the second season, Peter realizes that he should have been with Gwen the whole time, so that like, but Gwen was kind of like dating Harry, I guess. So Peter dumps Liz Allen to go be with Gwen, and Gwen's gonna dump Harry, but they haven't told him yet, and that just never gets resolved. So, and I think they had planned to introduce other Spider-Man, like big Spider-Man villains. Like I think Carnage was supposed to show up in the third season. I think Hobgoblin was supposed to show up too.
Hobgoblin is the patrician goblin.
So it is kind of sad that this show didn't get to go on further. Because it had a lot of talent behind it. I think a lot of the storylines that they were playing with were really interesting. I love how they portrayed Peter's dual life and like the struggle with trying to balance those two. I still think Josh Keaton is probably the best voice for Spider-Man. Like, Josh Keaton is to Spider-Man what Kevin Conroy is to Batman for me. Like, that's just like, that's who he is now.
I don't know if you could say that. He's not the official voice for Spider-Man.
I'm just saying, in the sense that a lot of people consider Kevin Conroy, he's the quintessential Batman. Like, he is, like, the definitive voice to be Batman. Even though other people, like Bruce Greenwood and other people have taken over for Batman, and, like, he is Batman. I feel like the performance from Josh Keaton, like, the way he interpreted it, like, he just felt like he was always having fun with it. Like, for me, he is the voice of cartoon Spider-Man. Obviously, you got the live-action Spider-Mans, but for cartoon Spider-Man, Josh Keaton is my Spider-Man. So, no offense to 90s Spider-Man or Drake Bell or whoever voices him in the
full offense
most recent show. Full offense given.
Yeah, complete offense. I hope you're offended, right. Drake. Go play in Fairly Odd Parents again. Why don't you?
Oh, God. There's some shade being thrown tonight. Yeah, I like this show. I think I have the first season DVD somewhere still.
People buy DVDs still?
I mean, I bought it, like, back in college, so...
People go to college
Or I might have got it for Christmas, I don't remember. But... yeah, I wish this could have gone on, but obviously I get logistics and rights and all that stuff prevented from going on.
Thanks, Disney.
And kind of like the similar deal that Avengers got, which that was another thing that I feel really bad for Josh, because apparently he has a habit of getting like recording dialogue or whatever for a project, but be getting redubbed over because. There was an episode of Avengers where Spider-Man shows up and he had all the lines for Spider-Man recorded, but Disney's all like, that's going to confuse kids if we have the Drake Bell Spider-Man show going on. We have Spider-Man in another show and he's not Drake Bell. So they had Drake Bell record over all his lines.
He just needed the paycheck.
I don't know, man. I think it's just shenanigans.
Talk to his agent.
Kids are dumb. Right. I love this show. If you haven't seen it before and don't mind that we kind of spoiled the shit out of this entire show, I would highly recommend going out. This is a great Spider-Man show, and as short as it is, I think it, like, probably one of the best interpretations of it for me personally. But Kyle, is there anything you would like to add to all this?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. So there you go, everybody. Go watch this show, and let me know what you think about it if it's your first time watching it, because I always want to like introduce this show to people if they haven't seen it before, because I think it's worth watching. And let me know what you thought of Far From Home if you went and saw it.
If it's your first time,
I like that.
If it's your first time, be gentle.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you all for listening, and we will catch you again next week with another episode about something else. So, thanks again, and see you later. Bye.
Yeah, whatever.
Thanks for listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the show. Join our Discord to chat with us, and subscribe to our Patreon for some cool bonuses. Links are in the description. We'll see you next time.